tribe. I'm sure we'll have some more people joining here in a few minutes. I'm going to keep adding people to the stage. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Guys. Okay.
Hello, still need to be there.
So we are going to start this out by just introducing what we are doing today. Welcome to Alternative Healthcare Solutions. We are a collective of practitioners from around the globe come together to bring you alternative solutions to healing and chronic conditions that really healing your life, all the way from your relationships, healing your financial world, healing your emotions, healing chronic conditions. We are here with experts who can help guide you through all across the board. So today we're specifically focusing on chronic pain. I think that chronic pain is one of those things that we don't necessarily give enough attention to. I think that in my practice, I'm a nutritional health coach, and what I've experienced with my clientele is that really that they didn't even bring up or mention the fact that they deal with chronic pain from day to day. It's kind of one of those things that they've learned to suppress and just make it their normal. It is a normal part of their life, and it hasn't been until we've removed it through nutrition and different modalities that they've realized that they're no longer in chronic pain. And I know for myself, that was my story. I lived with chronic pain for a long time. And yes, I expressed that I was in chronic pain. I sought help for my chronic pain. But there was really no answers, no solutions to the chronic pain. And frankly, I got tired of feeling like this wimpy person who had problems, and just started to hide it and mask it, ignore it. But it was always there, always, preventing my life at its fullest. And I know that that happens all the time for people. So really, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to address chronic pain, because we have a wealth of knowledge here with these practitioners. And hopefully you're joining us live. And if you are, feel free to drop any comments into the chat. And hopefully we'll be able to address those questions and answer them. If not, if we're not able to address them today, still send them to, if you're watching the replay, send us your questions, because on the 29th, on June 29th, we are going to be hosting, let's see, let me put this banner up here really quick. We're going to be hosting an entire event that is going to be all day long with each one of these practitioners who specialize in healing about chronic pain. What is my body signaling? So it's going to be a virtual conference. You're welcome to join us. In order to join us, go to www.joinahs-org, like you see at the bottom of the screen. And you can use coupon code Let's Go in all caps, and we'll get you registered for, I think it's just $1. So we'd love to see you there, and we can answer any questions that we missed today in that space as well. So again, welcome. I'm your host, Jamie Lee, and this is Alternative Healthcare Solutions. We're going to go around the room and just introduce each practitioner. They're going to tell you who they are, maybe where they're from, and who they work with. So I'm going to start with Jodie. She's the next one on my screen here. Hi, Jodie. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Jamie. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jodie Solberg, and I am a certified master hypnotherapist. And what I do is I help to guide you in tapping into the power of your subconscious mind and accessing your own inner healing wisdom to heal from challenges such as anxiety, trauma, burnout, and chronic pain, so that you can create more of that harmony in all areas of your life, including your physical and mental health and well-being. So I'm really looking forward to having this conversation, because chronic pain is something that I see all the time in my practice, and I know that we're going to all learn a lot today. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe so too. It just, as you were speaking, it reminded me of, like, as I'm thinking about chronic pain, how many decisions in life that I debated and contemplated on making because of the chronic pain that I faced. I watched my family, my mom and her friends suffer from fibromyalgia, and their decision to have more children was, a big factor dealing with their chronic pain of, should I have more children because of the chronic pain that I'm in? So yeah, it is a big subject, and I'm so glad you're here, Jodie, and I'm excited to hear what you have to offer today. L'Oreal and Arcturus.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm
Hi.
Arcturus, this is L'Oreal, and we became energy healers after going through years of chronic pain. And then through the healing process, energy healing found us towards the end of it. We had done a lot of work up to that point, so it's not the only part, but it did definitely support what we did. And we help you identify, remove, and replace the root cause for everything that's causing that pain. So you can unlock the power, the limitless power of your unconditioned mind.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. I think there's such a huge spiritual aspect to chronic pain as well. We'll get into that today as you see some of the questions. We've been polling the audience, bringing questions that we can answer. And one of them is really addressing the spiritual aspect of it. So I'm excited to hear your answers for that. Next, we're going to go to Tanya. Hello, Tanya. Oh, we can't hear you.
I've pushed it, but not hard enough. So I'm Tanya. I'm your transformation alchemist, and I combine 20 years of nursing plus my lived experience with autoimmune disorders and trauma, plus healing of those diseases. Your issues really are in your tissues. And I combine it with a whole host of other education, including quantum healing and quantum regression and integration therapy, which is a form of hypnotism that gets you to the root cause of what's keeping you stuck on the energetic level. And I also combine that with traditional medicine and medical practices. So to help you get clear, helps you to heal. Healing is possible. That's all I can say. Healing is possible.
I love that. And I think that is one of the things that brings us together as practitioners. We're all, just so the audience knows, we are all united under that same core belief that you can heal your life, no matter what you're up against. And we're here to support you on that journey. So next, we're going to hear from Julie.
Good morning. So I'm Julie. Hemp and the cannabinoids and all this stuff literally changed my life from pain. I've had it my entire life. Nothing ever worked. Surgeries, acupuncture, every possible thing, until I found the right mix of hemp products, and CBD, I guess, is the most easy to explain. But so now I help uncomplicate it for everybody else and help them. It's essentially what it is.
Beautiful. I love it. You have a very powerful story and testimony, so I can't wait for you to be speaking today. I think it's going to be very, very eye-opening to people.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. All right, Bashad, how are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world watching this. My name is Vishad. I am the Mindset Transformer with my brand Inner Peace Walker. I'm all about repairing your self-worth from whichever starting point you want in life, to look beyond the symptoms, look at the root cause, and then repair your self-worth to allow yourself to create your path to your inner peace. I think today with the topic around chronic pain is probably an area in our lives that we think is probably one of the most established and run systems that we have. So I think this collective is going to open new possibilities all over the place for you to move yourself forward on wherever you are on your path. So very excited to have this conversation.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here and joining us. It really is one of those situations with chronic pain that does start to tap into your self-worth. Especially because in our society, we are very connected in a sense of, like, with our peers. We're connected with our productivity in society. as to our self-worth. And when we are in chronic pain, facing that chronic pain, we're not producing, and therefore we don't feel worthy or we don't feel adequate. And it's this vicious cycle and feeds into depression and more chronic pain. So I'm very glad that you're here. I'm excited to dive right in. All right, next we have Kate. How are you, Kate? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kate Simpson. I work as an energy healing practitioner. I work with a few modalities, and I'm excited about this topic today because having experienced throughout my life my body crying out with symptoms, which is chronic pain, and being told over and over again that it's just normal, or this is just what happens when you get older. And and I just remember thinking, this is not normal. It might be common, but it's not normal. And it sent me kind of on a journey of learning to understand my body and what my body was trying to tell me through chronic pain, and became an emotion code practitioner. And from there, learned other energy healing modalities that really impacted my health and completely changed my relationship with pain. So really excited to talk about this topic and be here today with you all.
Love it. I think that's so true. You hit the nail on the head when you mentioned normal and just dealing with it. I think that we have this belief, right, that after you're the age of 40 or whatever, that chronic pain is just what you deal with every day. You wake up and that's just part of life and it's normal, but it is not normal. And I keep saying that to people over and over. No, that's not normal. So glad that you're here. And next we have Bonnie. How are you, Bonnie?
Hey guys, I am good. It's been a good morning. I am the holistic nutritionist and the herbalist of the group, and I have not experienced chronic pain, but over the 21 years I've been in health and fitness, I have watched client after client after client go through this and try and find a way to heal and at least get to the point that they're living life in a balanced way where their pain is not ruling their life anymore. And it's a journey. So one of my specialties and one of the things that I gravitated from fitness trainer to holistic nutritionist with degree in alternative medicine, certifications, a lot of things under my belt, is getting to this place means really reaching a point where you're listening to your body, but you can't listen if it's screaming at you all the time. So what I do is I help people use their food, use a lot of holistic health practices like mindset and meditation activities, gratitude, exercise, food, and herbs, specifically herbs and spices, to get to the place where you can start listening to your body and you can really start to heal.
Beautiful. I couldn't agree with you more. Fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us from Texas. People, we are all over the place and I love it so much. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to operate this. Basically, how this goes is we've been polling the audience. So these may be questions from last week, over the past couple of weeks that we've been collecting, and we've had just some engagement on social media. So we just want to address those things. But first, one of the things that we commented or we posted in Facebook was what are some of the common myths about dealing with chronic pain? And, I wanted to share kind of, what our audience said around this topic, just because I feel like it's important to understand, some of the fears surrounding it, some of the pain surrounding it, and what people are actually experiencing, so that we can really grasp, what chronic pain looks like. And I really do believe that it's one of those silent sicknesses. We suffer so much in silence. When you see someone that kind of just seems blank in the face, you may feel like it's off-putting that they're that way, but you have no idea, some people, how much pain that they're dealing with and going through. But we also have loved ones that are dealing with chronic pain and being a support person for that person. So I wanted to share this comment really quick. Let me see if I can run this in a certain way here. So when we polled, we asked the question, we said, what is some of the myths? Amanda said, my fear is that one I love thinks that they can take massive amounts of painkillers all of the time and doesn't seem to realize the toll it'll take on their body long term. That is that's a real scenario. And we see that all of the time. There are some things that people are turning to that are also very addictive. There's a huge opiate addiction, especially in our state of Tennessee. But I'd like for everybody to just kind of take a turn to just address this. If you have anything to say about this comment, what would you say to Amanda, in that position where she's watching a loved one go through chronic pain? And anybody want to go first?
I can jump in.
All right.
I can jump in. So, what I would say when you're dealing with a loved one is you kind of have to meet them where they are. And so there's ways that you can introduce the idea of natural solutions. But when it comes to chronic pain, sometimes you need to at least find a way to it's kind of like you got to stop the fire from burning. Essentially, you need to control it. So there is some value, I would say, in finding a way to lessen the pain, and in that moment then introduce the natural approach, the natural solution. And there's so many. And the best you can do with someone you love is to really just share information like this from an event like this, introduce them to the community that we have in an alternative healthcare solutions, because again, you have experts from all over that can bring you answers that you may not find in the medical industry. And so whether you look at something like what Julie has that can help with pain, or different energy healing modalities from the various practitioners, changing food. So there are answers to lessen pain. And when you're dealing with someone you love, it's kind of just meeting them where they are and introducing one baby step at a time. Are they someone who's very information driven and need to read it? Do they need to hear it by being in a community like this and hearing experts teach and train on why this is better for you and how harmful these, medications are and how damaging they are and how they, are not creating the long-term solutions? It's just, I think information is power, and unfortunately it's hard to sometimes find the information on natural solutions in the mainstream. And that's why just being part of the community in alternative healthcare solutions, seriously, you've got so many resources and experts and products and things that can give that support to somebody. And then there's just giving them a chance to experience it. Whether that be through a demonstration of energy healing, or whether that be through a sample of something natural that can really support them. It's just meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, I think that's so crucial too. Information is powerful, and that's one of the foundations of building alternative healthcare solutions, is to give that information. We are all, I think everybody here, all of our practitioners are also united under that belief of self-empowerment and self-education. And so we are driven to really empower you and your loved ones to really help with that. So thank you. That's an excellent point. Does anybody else have anything to say to that, or do you guys want to move on to the next one? Tanya?
I'll just go briefly. As someone that has 20 years in the medical industry, I know firsthand that as a nurse, we aren't given instructions on how to lead a client to healing or reducing their pain. It's here's your prescription, and your prescription just grows. What ends up happening is you build up tolerance. You build up tolerance, and then that just means that the medications no longer have the same effect that they used to. So you're always going to be upping the medications. It's important to kind of illustrate that to the person, to the loved one, is that it's not, pain management is not going to get to the root cause. It's not going to ever do anything but escalate in the amount of medications. And then you're going to get to a certain point where you're like, now what? I've exhausted all of these options. I've gotten to the highest level that I can be. Or something like the opioid epidemic that's going on. All these people that were put on opioids and it got really high for them, and now their doctors are coming in and saying, we have mandates now that we have to remove these from your body, and they're having those medications taken away without alternative therapies being provided for them or methods to manage that pain. So it's important, while they're in a space where the pain management is actually working for them somewhat, to start to look at alternative therapies that they can bring in place to reduce their reliance on those medications before they get to a point where they're not effective anyway.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We have seen a major shift in the medical industry towards pain, to address the opiate condition or the opiate addiction, and it's very important. But you're absolutely right; they're not offering those alternative, therapies and practices. So that's why we're here.
The other thing I would suggest is sometimes it's good to go to somebody like, if they have a block with alternative health, seeking out somebody that bridges the gap. So they could come to me, where I can talk about medications as a nurse for 20 years, but also talk about how in nursing, I was never teaching people how to reduce their pain. I was just teaching them how to manage it by, here's your medication. But I can take you from the medication to the alternative stuff, as so finding somebody that bridges that gap for them, so they get the understanding at the level that they're at, but then can bring in new information to support them, to transition them to maybe a new mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important to have that advocate and someone that you align with. I think that that's the most important thing, is just really find someone who understands your beliefs, your practices, your what your goal is in your healing, to really bring about that transformation. I'm going to move on to the next one. So Kimberly said, being in chronic pain, I see how easy it is to be forgotten as life goes on for others, dealing with sense that it's a prison sentence and battling the lies of the mind. I think this is, really a crucial component of chronic pain, is the battles of the mind. You start to believe those lies. I think this is where we start to see your high suicide rates, because nobody understands. You're being lied to that, that you can end all of this, end it now. And you're really struggling in that sense. So let's open the floor to have some people just kind of address this. I'm sure Vishad is biting at the heels here for this one.
First of all, I think it's a great question or statement. And the first thing I'll start with is, it's okay to feel how you feel. Much of the battle sometimes is that we should be feeling something else. And what I'm feeling is like, no, that's not the acceptable thing. I need to think of something else. But the expression of saying, everyone else seems to be moving on and I get left behind, that's from a place of low self-worth, of I'm not good enough because I'm dealing with whatever I have. I mentioned at the beginning during the intros that maybe some things you hear will challenge your beliefs, challenge your ideas. So here's something that I think, might do just that. You could consider the idea that being ill in the first place, or having chronic pain, I should say, meets some of your human needs. Now, you might go, well, what does that mean? That doesn't make sense. Well, because it sounds a bit like an oxymoron, like how can you benefit from pain or being ill? But if you consider things like, sometimes you could say your pain helps you to avoid doing things, because you can use that as an excuse not to go somewhere or do something. You might get more attention from people. Now, I'm not saying everybody that has chronic pain or whatever is looking for sympathy or just that attention, but there's some part of us that might play on that. And again, it's difficult for us to interpret that, because like, well, no, I'm in pain, so how can that be? But this is the invitation to ourselves to ask beyond the symptom, of not just saying, oh, because of my symptom, everybody else is moving on, I don't feel good enough, I feel imprisoned, and I've got a battle going on in my mind. The reason we have a battle is that health is something we think we've got a degree of certainty over, and certainty is one of our strongest core human needs. I.e., if I'm unwell or need something, I'll go to a doctor. That's one of the most sure things we do when it comes to health. If I'm not well, I'll go straight to a doctor. And then by taking the prescription or thing that's meant to address the symptom, we feel, okay, I get certainty from that. And I was only speaking to a cousin who I was catching up with yesterday, who's a GP, mentioned that she used to tutor this teenager now who was recently diagnosed by a private health practitioner as having ADHD. And she went, no, I've worked with this guy for ages. He doesn't have ADHD, but they just put him on the spectrum or diagnosed him. But she's saying, no, this feels like a loaded label. Now, I'm not saying, look, all practitioners are not right in their diagnoses, etc. But that introduces the idea that, can we challenge the stories that we're telling ourselves about what is going on? There's always an opportunity for us to say, hang on, is my perception of this truly true and what it's saying about myself? Or is it something that I've amplified in the face of meeting my needs? Because the needs come from our subconscious. It tries to meet our needs the best way it can. But there's an opportunity for us to ask, going, am I getting an element of certainty out of this? Am I getting the attention? And also the idea that I'm getting connection and significance from people paying that attention to me. So this is actually a story that can go on and on. This is where we dig beyond the symptom. We want to start with what we're expressing, where we are, and accepting that. We're not fighting against it. We're not immediately going, no, let me suppress that, because that's where it invariably manifests into something else later. Be that pain, be that more lower self-worth. It's just, we've never been introduced to the idea of looking beyond the symptom, which is where we're stuck at the moment. But when we go in further and ask ourselves, is that story true? That's when we repair the self-worth piece by piece and find alternatives to treat the stories and then the chronic pain that we're suffering from at the moment.
Yeah, beautiful. Got some hands going up here. L'Oreal and Arcturus, I'll let you go next.
Hi, I'm L'Oreal, and I've battled chronic pain for 2 decades. What really changed is when I switched from battling it and treating it as a disease into, okay, I've been running away from my body. I've been trying to save everyone. I've been on the run my whole life from myself. And now I'm here. I can't move anymore. There must be a reason for it. Now, when I switch that into, what is my body telling me? What am I hiding here? Why is this pain been here when did it start? How is my diet? That's when the pain started to break. What happened is I learned to connect with my body. Most of us are living their lives completely disconnected from ourselves. When is the last time we became aware of our feet, our legs? That's the part of our body that we put the least attention to. And yet that's the part of our body that connects us to the planet, which if we are aligned, the planet, every time we walk on the ground, there's an energy exchange that would take care of regulating any pain that comes through. I've suffered multiple injuries in my spine throughout my life. So the diagnosis I was given was pretty dark. It meant that I would have to go every few months into a doctor's office and have a procedure, like have steroid shots in my spine, injected in multiple spots. And I was in my late 30s. I was not ready for something like that. So I fired all my doctors. And I decided that it's time that I take my life into my hands. And by the way, the doctors at the time was my brother-in-law. He had multiple practices that I had access to, different doctors that I went through. And after seeing about more than 10 doctors, I was like, I've had enough of this. All they could do was give me more pills. But as soon as I turned to my needs, my body was screaming. And I looked into, what emotions am I holding on to? How am I coping with life in general? How am I dealing with my thoughts all the time? Well, that's when I started seeing the breakthroughs without pills. And only 5 months later, after I fired my doctors, I walked out a different clinic pain-free, when I was told that that's never going to happen and I'll have to live with pain for the rest of my life. So for those of you that feel stuck in a prison of your mind, it's just an illusion, and you have the power to change your life around. And sometimes rock bottom has to happen to find that energy, and that's okay. Starting with honoring what we are feeling, our emotions, our thoughts, they're only there to serve us and tell us that there's something for us to look into, that there's something there we've been missing, we've been running away from, because we were too busy. That's one trait that I've noticed in people that have chronic pain. They are always on the run. They're always in fight or flight. Not all of them, but it's very common. And they're always trying to save, help others. And they don't pay attention to their own needs.
And just to address the part of being forgotten, it's difficult to see when you're going through it. But as that happened, I became totally isolated through the process. It was a blessing in disguise, because it was the lifestyle of those friends and family that my body just slowed me down to a point where I couldn't keep up with them. I had to stop and recognize through the healing that all of those habits that I had, going out, drinking, working hard, playing hard with them, was a huge contributing factor to what I went through. So they had to go in order for me to have the space to heal and bring in new amazing friends.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. I know when I dealt with chronic pain as well, it was kind of along the same lines, not in the sense that you were with partying and all of that. I've been raising babies my whole adult life. I party in the crib. I considered myself going into ICU. When I entered into my healing journey, when you're in mental, spiritual ICU, there's very few people that are allowed into that space, because it's important. It's crucial for your healing and transformation to have that stillness, to have that quieting of the mind. I think also misery loves company. So when we have that person that we're diving into, I'm so tired of feeling this way, and you're just starting to, get that empathy going, it just keeps you in that vicious cycle. So yeah, I think that's very crucial to understand that, especially if you've been dealing for a long time, and that may sound like more of a prison sentence to somebody who's been dealing with chronic pains for decades, and they've already isolated themselves for so long. But, my husband and I have this term that we always say, this quote that says, resistance is hell. And when you are in resistance of where you are brought to, it's going to be hell until you stop and you understand where you are, and you start to be in that present moment and listen to what your own spirit is telling you of why you're there. What is your body speaking to you? I think that's the main reason why we actually titled the 29th event, what is my body signaling? Because it is a signal. It is communicating to you something that's going on in your life. And I understand that there's chronic pain conditions that people suffer from being in a massive car wreck and having massive surgeries. I understand that. And so they can easily dismiss, well, that doesn't really, relate to me because I have this physical injury that causes my physical pain. I'm just going to say that that's a myth as well. You can overcome, you can heal, you can reverse these things no matter what it is. I've seen it personally firsthand many times. And I think I just want to encourage everybody. So before we move on to the next one, Jodie, did you want to pipe in on this one? I figured you would.
Thank you. Yes, I would love to. I was resonating so much with me, what all of you were saying. And I know when L'Oreal was talking about reconnecting with our bodies and listening for what are they trying to tell us. And Jamie, one of the things you just said sparked a personal story, because I was that person who was in a major car accident and wasn't healing properly. It was over a year later, and I had hit a plateau. And it wasn't just about the injuries. It was that I was very burnt out. I was dealing with a lot emotionally as well as physically. And my body was telling me that I needed to make some changes to be able to actually activate my full healing capacity. It was really important to realize that our minds and bodies are so much more connected than we realize or that we're led to believe. In our society, we're taught to disconnect, to override a lot of times our physical needs and our physical signs and symptoms, that those are something, yes, you can just, go to the doctor to, like Michelle was talking about, and get a bend, so it's really important to realize that there's something underlying that's going on when those things are lingering, and that it is that vicious cycle you were talking about, Jamie, that when we have, whichever one started first, because it can be a chicken and egg type of a situation where, we may have had an injury or an accident, or we have a diagnosis of a physical health condition, but that can cause a lot of things like health anxieties and depression. And we start to tell ourselves those stories that were mentioned earlier that then feed into that. And so whatever we tell our subconscious mind, it's going to look for every bit of evidence to back that up, that that's true, and to reinforce that. And so then what happens is then the anxieties or the depression, the stress, right, our cortisol levels go up, causes an exacerbation of those symptoms and those conditions. And so, even the CDC says that over 85% of physical health conditions have a psychological component. So it's well known in the world of alternative medicine, especially, but it's not communicated to people how important it is to address things from those root causes and from those subconscious levels, and from, our thoughts are causing our emotions, and then that can be causing our physical symptoms. And that's all backed up by what are those beliefs that you have about the pain. So it's not just as simple as that certainty that Michelle was talking about of like, just go to the doctor. It's really important to look from within and to get support on the multiple levels. Like Tanya had mentioned, it's so key to bridge that gap between, what is going on physically, and then what are we telling ourselves about what's going on physically, and what is happening in all areas of our lives that are contributing to that and continuing it and exacerbating those conditions. And it can be very isolating. It can feel like nobody understands, because often, and I know this was my experience, I looked fine on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
You would just first glance look at me and I was absolutely fine, but I was not okay. I was dealing with all of that pain, and I was dealing with a lot that was going on up here, as well as in my back, my neck, the hips, the places that I had those injuries. And so it's really important to reach out for support versus going within and isolating and keeping ourselves stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You reminded me too of, I had a client who was dealing with chronic pain, and during our consult, he basically expressed that he has been going to the same pain management clinic for 2 whole years. And he had, after this 2 years, he's, kind of just sitting there going, why don't they understand what I'm battling? And he made sure that they had his medical records from all of his conditions from prior, before he moved there. And they had never seen his medical records. It never got transferred over to the pain clinic. So they have no idea. They've been, shoveling pain medicine down this man's throat for 2 whole years without even understanding what his body is going through. And I think I say that to give an example of, to be your own advocate, because intuitively, he knew for the past 2 years that this was not connecting. But we surrender our authority when we get into that, when we see the presence of that white lab coat, we surrender our own authority, and we just, accept whatever they tell us. But you have an internal guidance system that's going to guide you through. And, I think that's one of the things that we all do here is we help to connect you with that and it really help bring that about, because truly the answers lie within you. So Julie, I know I forgot to call on you real quick. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta Julie, because Julie has gone through the ringer.
No worries. It kind of goes with the last couple comments too, questions. So I just want to say I am not 100% where I need to be. So if anybody's listening to this and they're like, how do I get to completely pain-free? It's not a quick thing normally. So just know that. But I can relate to every single one of those with the being left out. Just suck it up, put a face on. I won't go into too much of this, but I was misdiagnosed starting at 10 years old with the passing out. And then it was, I was treated for seizures that I never had. I had a heart implant put in. I was on medicine, everything, until I was 30. Every wrong diagnosis you could think of. And I kind of gave up, and I was like, part of it ended up being narcolepsy for most of my entire life, undiagnosed, and I wasn't passing out. It's called cataplexy. So even after I got a diagnosis, it was still rare and nobody could fix it. So whatever. Then at 16, diagnosed as the poster child for fibromyalgia, which was just coming out then. And I was like, great, what does that mean? They're like, it sucks. There's nothing you can really do. You're going to hurt. I'm like, cool. So now I know. But in between that I'm a dramatic teenager. I was attention seeking. It's all in my head. Nothing's bad enough to give you that much pain in your back, everything. So I get it when people are like being left behind. I have two sisters. Me and my sisters are all 2 years apart. There's 10 grandkids between all of us. And it's like, I can't keep up. I still can't in doing a lot of the things that everybody else does. And they're like, my kids do 10 different things and I'm driving here and there and everybody's in all these things. And I'm like, I'm tired. I need a nap just listening to what people do. And I'm like, you'll get to the point where you just realize that's not you and stop trying to be them. Stop trying to fit in with them. And this all happened to me. This is all somewhat relatively new to me from probably 2019-ish. This whole big journey started, but with the pain situation, I get it. And I got sick of myself, honestly, complaining and thinking about it. But it's like, you can't get away from it, but you don't want to keep bothering other people. And then pretty soon it's like, they just stop asking. And then you're just like, great. Then you get mad because nobody's asking you, but you would say no because you can't do it. So it's normal, I think, if you're in some kind of chronic condition and it sucks. But I can promise you this, once this all started and I started feeling better from finally taking something that healed my whole body, I think this would happen for most, is that you just get on this thing where you start getting in touch. And apparently it's called a spiritual awakening. I had no idea for the longest time what was happening with me. And it was just like, then this person got put in my life. Actually, I think it started with you, Kate. And then it was Bonnie. And then it was everybody just pops in when they need to be, introducing new things. And honestly, meditation, which I used to think was all woo-woo and out there. And I tried it in high school and did it all wrong. And I was just like, maybe it's for hippies. I don't know. I started doing that. I've been doing it daily for years now. That is the biggest game changer. So, I mean, I'm not 100% pain-free all the time, but I look forward more to being by myself and getting these messages, or I know it probably sounds nuts to people. I'm still kind of figuring out myself, but just doing things I can write. I've always been a writer, but writing down this really freaking hurts today. And just leave it there, and getting away from, you need more pills, you need this. And I was on everything. So people, stop trying to explain it to the people that you think are leaving you behind, or you're bugging, or you're, in my case, it's my sisters. They know, it sucks to be me sometimes, but just, I'm still dealing with the way to deal with that, because I know if I went and did all the things that they asked me to do, or that I see them do, I'd be miserable. But then you get mad that they don't. So it's just something that you're going to, I think, mentally work through and be okay with. I'm kind of there, but it's it still sucks sometimes. And honestly, it's just going to suck sometimes because you can't fix everything. I mean, it's totally normal to have that kind of response. Just don't stay there. And I promise you, kids, better, because I'm getting there. And that's my TED Talk.
The ability there, Julie.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to move on to the first question. And I think, this might be a good question to start out with Kate, just to but we'll go ahead and jump in, anybody who wants to address it. But the first question is, how can holistic practitioners support the mental and emotional health of a chronic pain patients?
Yeah, so it's a great question because when you look at holistic health or holistic practitioners, they're looking at the whole person, first of all. They're looking at it not as a specific symptom. I remember when I was going through an autoimmune disorder with my thyroid, my endocrinologist told me that the naturopathic doctor I was working with didn't need to order these tests because the problem was my thyroid. And the problem is I'm a whole person, I'm not a thyroid. So the holistic practitioners are going to look at you as a whole. They're going to be searching for the root causes. And one of the most important things when you look at the whole person is it's not just an organ, it's not just a gland, it's not just a symptom, that everything is energy within the body. And that includes your thoughts and that includes your emotions. And a lot of people don't necessarily realize that emotions are a very physical response. Emotions are made by the body, they're felt in the body, and they're meant to be processed out of the body. And so when working with a holistic practitioner, they're going to find things that you've suppressed, held down, whether you did that consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter. You can inherit energies that are suppressed in the body, and that is disrupting and contributing to what you're experiencing pain-wise. And so when we look at treating the whole person, we're going to treat the kind of things that are like obvious as far as the symptoms, but we're also going to get to the root cause and help release and support the mental energies, the emotional energies, as well as the things that are physical that contribute to what's going on with each individual person. So it's an important thing to look at the whole person. So that's what I want to share.
Beautiful. Yep, I figured. Tanya, go ahead, and then we'll get you guys, L'Oreal Arctures.
There's a reason why my company is called Mind, Body, Spirit, Healthy Self. It's because it's not just your body. You are a whole person, and there's so many facets to everything. I used to or the way that I classify the experiences that you're having in the body is it's either an external trauma that you suffered, like a car accident, or it's a trauma that you experienced, which could be childhood trauma, or it's a toxin that you've ingested, and that's how your body has got out of alignment. And there's so many different ways that you can get yourself back into alignment, whether that's through exercise, diet, mental health practices. Even in my trauma program, the last class that I have that I take, like they go through 6 sessions, but the 5th session is all about all the other ways that you can support your trauma healing journey. And that includes things like exercise, looking at your diet, what toxins are you ingesting that you think are healthy for you, because really it's packaged as healthy food that's on your shelf that you can go and buy, but we all know there's a lot of chemicals in them that aren't healthy and that mimic a lot of issues for us, right? That mimic anxiety or that mimic symptoms of ADHD or depression. So it is a whole facet of the entire human spectrum. When you go into a doctor, the doctor doesn't say, how are you sleeping? What's your social circle like? What is your, like they don't ask those questions. They're, what are your symptoms that you're dealing with? And medical doctors aren't taught this is how you heal something. They're taught this is the disease, this is the medication that will help with that, or this is the surgery that they might need, or this is maybe an alternative person in the sense of their alternative people being rehab or, occupational health or physical therapy. So they are very limited in their viewpoint of how to actually help somebody because it's just keeping you a repeat customer. So yeah, holistic practices.
Absolutely. I know, you know, I think that the lack of education in medical doctors towards, the whole root of the problem is really one of the biggest problems in the medical industry. When my daughter was diagnosed with polyarticular arthritis, when the rheumatologist that we talked to, I asked her, I said, what about food? And she literally looked me dead in the eye and said, don't even worry about going gluten-free. There's no studies to prove that food causes inflammation in the body. And she said, it's a waste of money, but if you want to, you're fine to do that. She said, but if you go the natural route, your daughter will be completely crippled in 8 months. And as you can imagine, that was terrifying because we're talking about massive chronic pain for a 10-year-old little girl. She went from, climbing trees, riding horses, beating up her older brothers, to being bedridden for days. And, to see that, and guess what? I'm a rebel. I'm stubborn. I'm bullheaded. I went the natural holistic route with her. I did not put her on the medication. They told me that she was going to have injections once a week for the rest of her life, which I found out was chemotherapy. It was chemotherapy injections. So if you can imagine microdosing chemotherapy for the rest of your life, and then pain medicine around the clock, whether she needed it or not, for the rest of her life, starting at the age of 10. That's what the solution was from them. And I'm talking, this is a 15-minute diagnosis to treatment plan conversation within the medical field of some of the top experts in rheumatology. So, again, this is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about connecting you with resources, connecting you with different modalities, connecting you with different practitioners who have gone through situations and have gone through chronic pain, who have gone through chronic conditions and have had successful reversals and successful healings. And this is why it's so important to be talking about this. I do know also that there was a lot of emotional things that were going on with my daughter at the age of 10. And I didn't know at the time. I had no idea at the time some of the emotional root causes of some of the things she was struggling with. I do now, and it's been my life's mission to really empower parents and people to be able to understand the holistic approach and the options out there for these conditions. So thank you all for answering the way you have. I want to keep going on this, but Bonnie, I know you wanted to address this too.
I did. I know it can feel very overwhelming hearing all of this and all of us saying, you can heal, you can heal. There are very little minute things that you do at the very beginning when you feel stuck. And the whole reason so many of us partner together and work together in the fashion that we do is because you could need to just shift your food around a little bit. You could need to go and have an energy healing session. There's one area of your life and your health and wellness that isn't lining up for you. And the minute you put that tiny little piece of the puzzle into place, everything opens up for you. I've seen it time and time again with client after client after client, where just one tiny little thing. I mean, I had one client many years ago, she wasn't drinking any water. And it sounds like the most basic health practice, right? Drink your water. But she wasn't. And a lot of the pain that she was experiencing dissipated over a 2 to 3 week time period. And the only thing that woman did was start drinking water. So I know listening to us talk, it can sometimes feel overwhelming, but start with small steps. You'll get there. Just start with the small steps because like Jolie said, it doesn't happen overnight. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight.
Well, I also think it's important to show that it took years to get to the chronic condition that you're in. So why would it to change overnight? There are so many layers that you've suppressed and gone past, through ignoring, I should say, or suppressing the subconscious mind, that it's going to take an unraveling. So L'Oreal and Arcturus, I know you guys had your hands up too. You want to say something real quick?
Another aspect that we holistic or energy healers can help you with is get to know you. This is the main purpose in life, is to get to know ourselves. So get to know what thoughts are we cycling again and again every day in a back end, because those are the ones that dictate your reality. And sometimes they are related to the root cause of what's triggering all this pain. Get to know you when you're emotional, and help you, support you, and hold your hand to find your courage and lift up that hood and go under and look into, where did it all start? Wait a minute, I didn't always think this way. Who taught me to think this way? Because we are not born with those emotions and those thoughts. So we have to go back to where it all started. And yes, it takes time, but it can take a lot faster to heal than to continue the way that we are going.
A lot of people have already brought it up. The doctors will tell them that you're just going to have to manage and deal with this the rest of your life. When we were children, we know our body is designed to heal and regenerate itself. Somewhere along the way, we started accepting ideas and beliefs that, you know what, it can't. You're going to have to just live with this. This is it forever.
Our body is designed, take a cut, for example. You cut yourself, it heals. You remove the disease that is causing the disease, the body would automatically heal. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's so powerful. So important to understand that, and just to really grasp how powerful and amazing our bodies are created. We do not give our bodies enough credit for how incredible we are. And I know everybody would agree with me on this, that we are incredible, just incredible designed human beings. We do have that power to heal and transform. So that leads me into my next question here. And this has been asked several different ways. So I'm just going to ask it this way here, because this is the most powerful. Will it ever end? And my heart like hurts for this question, because I know, I've watched people suffer with chronic pain. I've watched them constantly go in there and just be exhausted, not knowing if they're going to get relief. Will it ever end? And it can keep you in this mindset of that it won't. It can keep you in this chronic pain cycle. And so I know I want to express this one, because I know firsthand that several of you in this platform, it has ended for you and it has ended for your clients. So I want to go ahead and just open the floor to encourage the person who is in that position that is asking, will it ever end? And Julie, go ahead.
I won't be long. I just want to say, obviously I just told my story, but here's the biggest thing, is that there's hope, because they've discovered the endocannabinoid system back like in the 90s, which they probably knew before, but now it's out. And that is responsible for every other system in your body. So there's hope right there, because with all the other things that everybody's talking about, you have your respiratory, circulatory, all your systems, but the one in charge of making all of them work the way they're supposed to is the endocannabinoid system, which is what hemp, we all have receptors all over, and the closest things to them are from the hemp plant. So that right there is a huge game changer and helps pretty much everybody with everything. Not that it's going to be an immediate fix, but that's a huge breakthrough. They're teaching in like 6% of medical schools now, maybe, but it's coming. So that's something to look forward to.
I think it's a great point to also express that there has been miraculous provision since the foundation of this earth for us as the end user to be healed and be transformed. And it's all part of the
Yeah.
beautiful creation.
And our bodies know what to do. They just need to get all the other crap out of it that they've put in there telling you this is how you fix everything. Our bodies know better than a white coat.
Yeah.
Not that there's not a time and a place for them, but our bodies know exactly what to do. This is how they've survived forever. So getting back to the basics of that, plus new discoveries like that and plants and all that kind of stuff, your body's pretty stinking smart. So just get rid of the other crap.
Yeah, absolutely. Tanya, will it ever end?
So that depends on you. And I know that can be a tough thing to hear, but it really does depend on you. You can, and for many of us, we actually have to hit a rock bottom before we decide, I don't want to deal with this anymore, and I'm going to do what is necessary to change. As much as the pain is terrible, it's no different than when you're dealing with trauma and every day you're working up with depression or anxiety or dealing with unhealthy coping habits. It's easier to continue doing the same thing day after day after day than it is to make those changes. But once you make those changes, life becomes easier and more manageable. It's just getting started. And for some of us, we have to actually hit that rock bottom. The emotional weight that we carry around and the inflammation that we carry from trauma, from the emotional stuff that we're dealing with is just, it's unreal. And I can tell you that you can do it. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and even though my doctors will never agree that I healed it, they will not say that. They'd like to say that they just misdiagnosed me, but I know what I know what I was diagnosed with. I know where I went to seek treatment. I know I went to the MS clinic. I know I went and saw, all the specialists. And then what changed it was the determination that I was not going to live like that for the rest of my life. I had an utmost belief in my body to heal and that I could overcome it. And I was willing to do whatever was necessary to do that, changing my diet, changing my exercise, working on my mindset, and just on and on and on. So it is possible. It's just, it is up to you if it will ever end.
Yeah. Great. Shad?
Simple answer, yes. Extended answer. Try and rephrase the question. Are you looking at it going, is it ever going to end? Does that mean, is this stuff going to work for me? You may be coming from this recording from a place of self-doubt, going, I've tried stuff, it doesn't work. And you're listening to all these brilliant stories and ideas. Bonnie's talked about a simple, small step of drinking water. Tanya shared just now how mind, body, and spirit connects together. Kate's talked about emotional health. L'Oreal talked about just pausing, understanding where thoughts and ideas have come from. Jodie shared her great story about, addressing the fact that maybe she should have healed by now, but what else can I be doing? Jamie talked about you are your own navigation and intuition system. But you might be listening to all this going, yeah, but what do I actually do? I'm reminded actually of a great quote from Jurgen Klopp, who was recently the Liverpool manager. And he was asked about something he said very early on when he was our manager, saying, we need to change from doubter to believer. And because he retired earlier this month, he got asked about it again, saying, what did you mean? He said, when I said that quote, I didn't tell people to believe. I just told them to remind themselves it helps when you believe. So he's basically turned around the idea that we're not giving you the answers here. And you might go, what? The point is, you have your answers already. What we're sharing is what may have worked for us, the things you've seen, guidance, all this kind of thing. But only you can take your own responsibility and give yourself the answer to the question, will it end? Of course it will. There's very little that we can't address. Now, I'm not going to say just go singing the monkey song, I'm a believer and everything is fine. But it's more about giving yourself the opportunity and chance to go, I'm not just bound by a pattern or doubt and go, is this ever going to end? And almost come from resignation. If you come from the idea of belief, which does take practice, does take mistakes. Now, Julie made a great point saying, I'm not 100%. Well, what does 100% look like to the person? That's defined by you. That's defined differently by somebody else. That's fine. We're always a student. We're always learning. So if you're going to say, is it going to end tomorrow? Probably not. But you give yourself the time, the practice. You've got so many examples here of how it can work and end. But ultimately, as people have echoed, it is up to you, but it can be done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So powerful. Yeah. Kate, do you have anything to say to this?
How to follow up that, I'm not sure. Well said. So well said. Just that, healing's a journey, and every journey's different. But there are solutions, there are answers, and I 100% believe that belief is where it starts. Absolutely. And if somebody else has ended their chronic pain, then it's possible to end chronic pain. And so if it's possible for someone to become pain-free, then it's possible for you to be pain-free. If it's possible for somebody else to reverse their chronic conditions, then it's possible for you to reverse your chronic conditions. So you just need to begin the journey and have faith. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. It is possible. Did we reach everybody, or does anybody else want to chime in here real quick before we move on? Bonnie.
I get this question a lot, because when you come to me, you've come to me because you've hit every brick wall in creation, and you're just looking for something that's going to help you feel better today. And I know a lot of people here were really pushing those tiny little aspects. Your food, your diet, the things you put in your mouth, on your body, and surround yourself with all impact your body and your brain's next step. A lot of the reason I focus on gut health is because your brain and your gut work in sync. You got the CEO, or the president, and the VP. And when you use those to your advantage, and you just start tiny, start small, start really thinking about and dreaming what you want your life to look like, there is an end. There is an end for everyone. You determine what that end looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And simple things can make a world of difference.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have like 24 minutes left. And we still have a couple of questions we want to go through, but I want to direct our attention again towards the 29th, because this is one of the reasons why we put this together. This is why we live stream together across multiple platforms, to really reach that broader audience, to really tap into, to let you know what we're going to be doing on the 29th. So with that being said, I want to give everybody a chance to answer this. We'll go in order this time. But this is what can we expect to learn? Sorry, let me do this one. What can we expect to learn from your upcoming workshop on the 29th surrounding chronic pain? So I think this is an interesting way of expressing it, because each one of us, I know Jodie is through hypnosis, L'Oreal and Taurus, there's spirituality, Tanya is through quantum healing, Julie is through supplements and hemp wellness, Vashad's through mindset, and Kate is through emotion code, and then Bonnie is through nutrition. So this is such a holistic approach that we're really coming about it from all different angles. But I wanted to go ahead and give the floor to you guys to kind of just, express what they can expect to learn from the upcoming workshop that you're going to be teaching on the 29th, starting at 8 a.m. We run from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's an all-day event, but it's a come and go. Like, you can attend any one of these workshops. You can stay an hour, or you can stay 12 hours. It's up to you. You can also, once you register, you can have access to all of the recordings, the replays for 72 hours afterwards. We have vendor booths. We have lots going on in this event. But I want to just take a minute to spotlight that really quick and let everybody kind of talk about, what they're going to be doing this upcoming workshop. So Jodie, I'll start with you.
All right. Sounds great. Well, on the 29th, I'm going to be talking all about how your subconscious mind works in relation to chronic pain. So about 90% of everything that goes on in our minds and in our bodily processes, because our subconscious is also in charge of those as well, comes from that part of ourselves that isn't always in our conscious awareness. So we're going to be talking about how that plays in to chronic pain. We're going to talk a lot more in depth about some of the things that we've been sharing here today, how you can actually access your subconscious mind. And I'm going to take you through one of my favorite techniques that I use when it comes to chronic pain. We're going to identify where and how your chronic pain is presenting itself. And we're going to look at some of those ways that it's operating. And I think Vishad is the one who touched on this earlier. We're going to really look at what is its purpose? How is it operating? What is it doing for you? Because sometimes there are some kind of secondary types of benefits that we don't even realize. We think it's just all bad, but how might it be trying to help you or protect you, or what is it keeping you from, right? What might you be avoiding because of this? So we're going to be looking at multiple aspects of how you can create a stronger mind-body connection, get access to that subconscious mind, figure out what's going on in your body so that we're not perpetuating that cycle over and over and over again. So that is going to be what you're going to learn from me.
Beautiful. I'm excited to hear that. I get the visual that, when we touch a hot pan on the stove, our pain receptors are telling us, are communicating to jump back, let go, release, right? And so many of us struggle with this chronic pain that we're not getting that communication and we're just holding on to that hot pot. So I think it's really important to understand and address this. So looking forward to your workshop. And L'Oreal and Arcturus, how about you guys?
We're going to be inviting everyone to be open and vulnerable to share their pain so we can help them really tune in and feel what their body and spirit, mind, emotions are telling them. So they can get down and discover exactly what is going on and what they can do. Everyone should be able to walk away with an action step of the most important thing that's going to help them take that first, most important leap towards the end of their chronic pain.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. I think that's one of the other common questions that I received that I haven't put up on the screen yet is, what's the first thing, or what's the best thing? What's the best place to start? So I'm so glad that you guys are addressing that in your workshop. Thank you for that. And Tanya.
So I'm going to do a couple of things in the workshop. The one thing that I'm going to do is teach you the heart-focused breathing / quick coherence technique. This is a powerful technique that gets your nervous system into regulation, so you reduce the inflammation that's going on in your body. Plus, you heighten your immune function. This can last for up to 6 hours following doing this technique for a minimum of 3 minutes. So if you make this a part of your practice throughout your day, you can reduce the experience of pain while also heightening your immune function. The second thing that I'm going to do, and this is something that I use on my clients, and it's a really powerful thing, is quantum regression and integration therapy. So I'm going to take you through a quantum regression and integration therapy session to get to the root cause of your pain and move it from your energetic body. So very powerful stuff.
Beautiful. I love that. I love the healing aspect that quantum healing has to offer, and regulating the nervous system. And I know you're a quantum healer. I'm getting my doctorate in quantum healing. And, one of the biggest things in quantum healing is really noticing, observing, acknowledging. That is the first step. And once we acknowledge, we, observe that, then we've opened the door for that changing and that transformation. But noticing even our breathing. I know that when I was in my high peak stress, high peak trauma of life and pain, chronic pain, I literally every day had to remind myself to breathe because it was not coming naturally. And those breathing techniques are so important. And I still feel like there's times where Actually, I was just telling Jodie this in a class. I'm doing a childbirthing class, a hypnobirthing class with her. And I told her, I'm like, that's probably one of my biggest struggles is the breathing techniques, because I've struggled with that in trauma and pain in the past of reminding myself, breathe. It's like I would hold my breath for so long. So powerful modalities that you bring to the table. So thank you for being here. Julie, are you going to be teaching a workshop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, breathing's huge. I'm a shallow breather, and it's a big deal. But so I guess for this one, we're going to go just the endocannabinoid system. What is it? How does it work? What does it do for you? And then we should have time to go into what specific cannabinoids and CBD in general, which one is best for pain, how to use it, how to dose it, and that kind of stuff. So all your questions answered on that. So if you have any specific ones, bring them, but should be pretty much covered and how that all works with pain. So
yeah, beautiful. Love it. I know we've got some questions that weren't answered yet about CBD, so I'm glad you're going to be addressing those in the workshop.
Yeah, we can go over those on the 29th too. So
perfect. All right, Rashad.
I'll give you two analogies to help explain. Imagine you've got a smoke alarm and you've got a fire in a part of your house and you're in a different part of your house. The smoke alarm is ringing, but it's annoying you. Like you're busy with something, it's like, oh, what's going on? And you switch the alarm off and you get temporary relief because it shuts off. Then it goes off again because the fire's still going. And you switch it off again. And you keep addressing the smoke alarm. But what I'll do in the workshop is go beyond the smoke alarm and go to the cause of the fire. What is going on? Then when we're at the fire, we'll look to channel our inner Sherlock Holmes, Lieutenant Columbo, Kojak, insert whatever favorite detective you've got, and ask ourselves, what are these signals that there's all around us in our lives? What do they actually mean about our chronic pain? Or even take the word chronic away, the pain going on. What symptoms are there and what are their root cause? What do they actually mean? So if, for example, that looks like things like headaches, cold sweats, a sense of a heavy sensation in your middle, funny aches, funny pains that you can't seem to put a finger on. We'll look to do this by readdressing your health and pain as a character. That's rooted in your subconscious, where the character's coming from, what's it actually doing. We're not looking to kill them or get rid of them, but understand what are they doing and relate it back to the stories we tell ourselves, the core human needs that we're processing in an unhealthy way. Look in our shadow for answers and emotions that we've linked to the stories and have hence suppressed because they're too difficult to deal with. Bring them to the light, accept them, and find the healthier ways to meet our needs instead. So you get rid of the fire and that bloody smoke alarm doesn't ring anymore.
I love it. I love it. I'm sure you're going to be addressing what's feeding the fire as well.
Yeah, it could be a toaster, it could be a chip fan fire, it could be whatever it might be. But we'll take a look.
You're putting on it. Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, it would have been the gasoline I was spraying on my own fire. It kept it burning. Okay, so I'll be honest. But yeah, my pain was always in my shoulder. It was just this chronic pain. I did acupuncture. I did steroid shots, physical therapy, you name it. I tried everything to relieve that pain in my shoulder. And so I called it my demon, my shoulder. So that was my identity of my shoulder pain, is really identifying it as that demon. But I also later on realized that demon was just sitting on my shoulder, and it was a lot of the things in my life that I was suppressing and I was shouldering in life. So suppressed emotions and everything else. So great. Really looking forward to your workshop. I'm excited. All right, Kate, I was thinking about you as I was asking this question. And I was thinking about chronic pain. I would also say that you really addressed chronic emotional pain. Because that's something that we don't even think about, but there is chronic emotional pain that we deal with on a subconscious level and suppress. So what are we going to learn from your upcoming workshop on the 29th?
Yeah, we're going to learn a whole lot about emotions and how a lot of just hidden trauma and emotional trauma, mental, spiritual, physical imbalances at the root, in many, many cases, come from emotions, and really understanding that emotions are physical. There's something that our body produces. It's something our body feels. It's meant to be felt and released. And if we suppress that energy, or our ancestors suppress that energy, what happens is that creates a negative vibration in the body. And truly, when we have suppressed emotional energy, it creates habits and patterns, and it causes us to continue to feel certain ways repetitively. And so with this workshop, we're going to explore that. I'm going to explain that in more detail, as well as I'm going to do some testing for volunteers who want to see if you have suppressed energies that are these emotional energies that are contributing to your physical pain, to your mental pain, to your emotional pain, and really actually discover if you have these suppressed, or what we like to call them, trapped emotions, that are creating emotional patterns and habits and really keeping you stuck in a cycle of pain. And so I'm really excited to share this workshop, because it's very often that we don't consciously know that we have these energies. And so this is something we do need to dive in and explore. Is this energy trapped in the body? And if it is, it can be easily released. So
I love it. I love your modality. It's always removed with such grace, like just going through and just removing it. It's a pretty powerful modality. The emotion code is. I think that's one of the reasons why I love the format that we have set up and the way we do these workshops, because, you know, when my daughter was going through the pain that she was going through, and I was grasping for information all over, to have if I would have had what we've created here, which is a collective of wisdom, a collective of people who have dedicated their lives to exploring solutions that are alternative beyond conventional medicine, that would have been such a powerful resource for me at that time. And when you attend live these workshops, you get to actually experience that practitioner. You actually get to comment and come live on the screen and ask your questions and engage. And that is such a powerful resource, because we need that one-to-one. We need that alignment. We need to be able to really dive deep, because if we don't have trust and we're just holding on to the chronic pain, or we're holding on to the prognosis, or we're holding on to the mindset of what we have, our chances for healing and transformation become very slim. But when we open that up and we release it, and we become vulnerable and share what's going on, and work with practitioners that have dedicated their lives, then we truly see some miraculous transformations that take place. And so I always get excited for the user. Like, they're gonna love this. So Bonnie, what can we expect to learn from your upcoming workshop on the 29th?
Actually, I am teaming up with Carrie again. And Carrie Magliarini is our sugar knockout coach. We're both holistic nutritionists. So we are going to actually talk about chronic pain, food, herbs, how to use the things on your stove in your kitchen that you're eating, use in your diet, and somewhat your lifestyle, but majority of it is going to be diet, and how to use it to really take those small steps toward healing and toward feeling better, even when you don't feel like you want to deal with it. Because a lot of times I know you sit on a couch or you sit in bed and you're in pain. You don't want to move. You don't want to get up, and living a daily life can be such a challenge. But there's little things that you can do, and you can start with diet. So that's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to send you away with a couple of to-do steps to get you started.
Beautiful. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that was pretty much everybody. We may have some more practitioners who weren't able to join us today to also be teaching some workshops. on Saturday the 29th. But you'll be looking forward to, you just keep in contact with us. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We just started launching our YouTube channel this month. So we're super excited about that. And some of you may be watching live through YouTube. So subscribe. And then you're also going to have access to all of these practitioners. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the community aspect really quick, because the community is something where, I feel like when we attend these live events, I don't ever want you to feel like you walked into a doctor's office and then left, and then you left with what did I just learn? What next? What do I have to do? What did they say? What, you know what I mean? When you walk out of there and you find this confusion state, I don't ever want you to feel that way. So that's why we've opened up the entire community, and it's an algorithm-free social media where we're just talking about continuing your healing journey. And in that community, we have over 100 hours of expertise and knowledge and workshops in there that's going to be bringing about more modalities, more experiences, more testimonies. We have some incredible testimonies in there. For one, we've got a testimony of a man who literally was in the middle of a heart attack in the hospital ER room with heart attack numbers, and they're addressing the heart attack when he reached out to a healer and just basically said, I'm not able to attend class today. I'm having a heart attack. And they literally started to work on him on a quantum level while he was having that heart attack and brought him out of the heart attack. So he is now a healer himself and on that journey. But it's such powerful information in there. And I think that when we hear testimonies like this, when we hear testimonies of like Tanya, who has reversed MS, I mean, we're talking a nurse who is looking at ordering a wheelchair because she's so crippled, or Bobby, who was she was diagnosed with MS as well, and she's also a nurse, and she went from literally imprinting her water with nutrients because she couldn't swallow with MS, to being completely healed and here and ready to help you. Those are some powerful people that we want to bring to your table, and just, transformation all the way across the board. So in the community, you will find all of our practitioners. You're going to find all of our replays. You're going to find ways to connect with them. Also, over the past year, as we've been doing these workshops, our practitioners have also sent out offers. So there are offers that are some that are still in there, free PDF guides and different things of that nature, free tests. And so there's lots and lots of resources, and we're going to continue to be putting resources in there, for as long as we can. So we'd love for you to join us. As far as joining the community, the community is, it is a subscription. There's a free subscription, and then there's a paid subscription. When you join at the paid subscription level, you're actually going to have access to all of the events that we put on together. So you're going to be able to attend live at no cost. It's going to be included in your subscription rate. And also, I think the best, beautiful thing about it is that no matter what price tag we have to put on our main workshops when we bring in big speakers, you're going to get it for the same monthly price that you pay every month, which is $35 a month. So that is a significant discount. I know we have one particular workshop or event coming up that is going to be a $100 price tag ticket. But you will have access to this at no extra cost. It'll just be your $35 a month. So you can go in there, ask your questions, share your testimony. And we talked about, being heard, right? L'Oreal and Arcturus, and this is another place where you can be heard and just voice those frustrations. It seemed like when we were interviewing people, leading up to this event, that was the biggest thing, is that they want to be understood. They want to be seen. They want to be heard and to be known. And I think that that's the core of our existence, is to be seen, to be heard, to be known. But it first starts with us knowing and seeing ourselves. So with that being said, I'm going to open up the floor to any just meta, right? We're just going to go around. If there's any last things that you guys want to say, any words that you want to give out of wisdom, anything you want to just end with before we see you on the 29th, what would you like to say? So I'm going to put this banner up really quick. And Jodie, any last final words?
Yeah, I just want to say that there is absolutely hope for everyone who is dealing with chronic pain. There are so many ways, and a lot of them that we've briefly shared here, and so many more that you're going to learn about on the 29th, of how to shift those beliefs around chronic pain, how to shift your experience with chronic pain, and how to begin to turn that dial, to make those changes. I know that we all had touched a little bit on, it's not a light switch that you just flip. It's not an all or nothing. And there is a lot that can be done to help give you more comfort, more ease. And part of it is just starting with the belief that it's possible. And so we're so glad that you all were here to join us today and to really start this conversation. And hopefully it sparked something in you to help you believe that there is that hope and that there is that light at the end of the tunnel. Because I know it can seem so dark and it can feel like it can't ever change. But that's not true. That's just the story that sometimes we tell ourselves. And I know so many of us have been there personally, and we're all here to support you. And so you don't have to do it alone. Absolutely reach out and then join us on the 29th.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. L'Oreal Arcturus.
You can heal. And obviously, if you're here still listening an hour and a half in, you do believe that you can heal. You may have come up against a lot of frustration and struggled to try and get the answers that you're looking for. So the best thing to do is to find someone that has done it and start asking questions.
And remember that disease, it's a result of dis-ease. You look into that and you can heal all disease.
So powerful. Ashad?
Yeah, just 4 little things to sort of wrap this up. Firstly, to say what Arcturus just said, the fact that you've watched this for an hour and a half is your first little clue in science. You should give credit to yourself for that. We quite often overlook things that we actually do in our favor and remember things that we're not doing or shouldn't be doing or that kind of thing. So there's that. Secondly, stay kind to yourself. This is a road that's determined by you. And we're very quick to, again, have a go at ourselves for not going at the right pace or going at somebody else's pace. It will take the time you need it to, and that's going to look different for everybody. So you don't need to compare yourself to anyone else's journey and path. Just concentrate on your own path, which only comes with practice and giving yourself the time and space and compassion to do so. And something that Kate said earlier as well, that like if healing is possible for someone, then it's possible for yourself as well. So again, that's going to come in your own time. Stay kind to yourself, and there are ways forward. The sheer number of people here with their brilliant ways to help you is the start. You don't have to follow what everybody says. Just take what resonates with you, and you can craft your own path to your own inner peace.
I love that. Beautiful. Well said. And Kate, any final words?
Yeah. Just give yourself a pat on the back and a hug, self-hug. Give yourself some grace because you know what? You've been battling what you've been battling, but you know what? You're here, you showed up, you're listening, and giving yourself a little peace, a little self-love, even if it's as simple as a self-hug, can make a huge difference to shift your energy and shift your emotions. And just know that within that, you have intuition and you have nudges inside of you. And so you might be in a lot of pain. However, if you have that nudge that, you know what, I need to find out more, discover more, follow the journey, keep moving, whatever that intuition is, get the information you need to support that. And I couldn't think of a better way to do that than to come to our community and interact with all of the different practitioners here, and follow your intuition. Where do you feel drawn to? Because there's so many ways to support you, and your internal guidance will lead you in a direction. So
Beautiful. I love that. Of course. Tanya.
You are the healer. It's you. It's not us. We're just guides. That's all we are. And use discernment for what is actually in alignment with you, because what works for one may not align with you. Some of us don't want to go and lift weights, but we're okay with doing yoga. It's that simple as making the choice of what works for you. The other thing is validation. This is your experience, and nobody can tell you what you're experiencing but you, and your experience is absolutely valid and real to you. The pain that you're experiencing in your body is known only to you. The best you can do is describe it to somebody and have them try to understand, and they'll only understand it from their window of ability to understand that. When you validate your experience, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain or anything, you put a light on it, and it takes it from being a mountain down to being more of a molehill. And then just ask yourself, what can I do for myself in this moment after validating it?
Beautiful. Powerful words. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Julie.
Well, you guys kind of all nailed that, but
I know, right?
I guess something I've been trying to not do is say I have, or I am, or I have this, or this is like it's a label for me. So I would say, if you can, stop trying to do that, or stop doing that when you explain things, or let it define everything about you, because that just keeps you in that, I don't want to say victim, because it does suck. I'm not going to downplay that, but there's hope. Just come back and we'll figure it out.
That's right. I think that's so key too. You start to find your identity in your business. And that's a mistake.
Yeah, just don't go there. And there's other people. You're not by yourself with this. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Bonnie.
Well, everybody hit everything else. So I'm going to come at you with a little food suggestion. Go find your top 5 happy foods. The 5 foods that make you feel happy, that for just a moment, even if it's a mini moment, take it away. Those are the first 5 that you're going to start with. And then from there, your brain will actually gravitate towards more. So if you just go find 5 foods that make you happy, you can start feeling better tomorrow.
It's interesting. All right. Excited to hear more about that on Saturday, the 29th. Thank you everyone for watching and for attending and being here this whole time. I hope that this was informative. I hope that this was encouraging and empowering. And if you experienced some of that encouragement and that empowerment and inspiration, then I highly suggest, highly recommend attending live June 29th. The information is on the screen below. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to connect with you and to really help guide you through. So thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.